Hey everyone. Today I want to talk about a very specific topic which I've been contemplating a lot over the past couple of days over the weekend, which I titled "The Future Belongs to the Intuitive." So I will go through an essay I wrote in the morning and I will start with a little bit of background. So in the beginning of this year, out of pure self-interest, I started to analyze and research different industries, different sectors, different businesses, different business models in regards to what impact exponential technologies will have on these industries and sectors and business models. So particularly, I looked at exponential technologies and, of course, artificial intelligence, but also societal changes we are seeing and also geopolitical changes we will see over the next decade. And I looked at different industries and I just applied a multidisciplinary approach, looking from different angles, and I looked at different technologies that are used in different industries, different sectors, and I tried to connect the dots. What is happening in this industry? How can technology that is used in this industry apply to another industry? What will be the impact of exponentially advancing technologies that we are observing right now on these industries and sectors and businesses? Why? Because I wanted to know exactly when I decide what business I'm going to start next. I wanted to know exactly where a specific industry is going, or whether there's a risk of the entire business model becoming obsolete due to AI, for example, or other exponential technologies. I could give you the example of accounting. Would I want to acquire and do a roll up, for example, in accounting firms? No, because there is the likelihood that over the next 10 to 15 years, much of it will be replaced by AI. So from this forward, it was just pure self-interest, and I started publishing some information of it and some thoughts on it under the brand. I called it Skywert. I had this brand, I had the domain already purchased. So I just decided, okay, this is a great name. I could just use it and publish under this brand this kind of analysis and research. So I began publishing some essays. Some were industry specific. For example, I did a lot on the solar technology and the nutritional space, but more of them were more about the general impact of exponential technologies, and also the difference between the linear and the exponential growth models, and why there's a huge misunderstanding of how the future will play out. So I analyzed this a lot. And I came to a point in the middle of the year, it was around June, July, where I thought, okay, this could be interesting. What I'm doing here, it could be interesting for many more decision makers in the world. So anyone who wants to start a new business, who is already in a specific industry or sector, or who wants to, like investors who are trying to do private equity buy and build strategy or a roll-up strategy, everyone could benefit by this kind of multidisciplinary, multi-perspective, and an analysis that is rooted in exponential technology and understanding exponential growth and how it's going to affect the business model. So this was the idea. And from there on, I started to think about it. I didn't start the business, but I thought about how could this look like? How could this evolve into a potential business that's going to help these key decision makers of the world, the investors of this world? And only recently, couple of weeks ago, I started to take it a little bit more serious. I thought, okay, this is really interesting. It could evolve into a business. And now over the weekend, I asked myself the question, how will analysis, so quantitative and also qualitative analysis, forecasting, but also more generally decision making, How will these disciplines be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, considering again the exponential technologies and AI, which we are observing right now. And I will now summarize what I contemplated on, and I called it "The Future Belongs to the Intuitive." Why? So right now, everything really looks as if the future belongs entirely to machines. Decisions will be made and driven solely by logic and data. We are collecting more and more big data, and we have with every day, with every year, we have more advanced AI systems which can analyze and get useful arguments and recommendations out of this data. And this, of course, it makes, from a logical perspective, it makes perfectly sense, because an AI can already shift through terabytes of real-time data in seconds. It can identify patterns which the human eye cannot see. And if we now project it into the future, the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, the next decade, these systems will become so much more sophisticated, and they will improve exponentially. And I believe it's fair to really predict that in the near-term future, we will push data and logic-driven decision-making to a point of saturation. So it will be commoditized. And what we will also see is, I believe, from my analysis, is that we will experience a natural tendency to lean much more heavily on these logic-based recommendations from advanced AI systems. So to take a step back, if you think back, business 50 years ago, nobody had not even closely to the data available that we have available right now. And we already have so much more data available to make decisions from, that it should be clear that progress should be 10x, 100x more than what we are seeing right now, because we have much more data to make better decisions. But I don't think, first of all, that we are seeing this kind of progress right now. So I would first of all question whether more data and logic driven decisions will improve decisions for society. And again, 50 years ago, exactly because we had no access to these massive amounts of data and this advanced, now for the last couple of years, AI systems, we had to rely much more heavily on intuition, which I will come back to the topic in a second. Okay, and I fear that the more we get data-driven arguments out of AI, and they will make a lot more sense. We will have a lot more data. We will have much more advanced AI systems, so they will make a lot of sense, right? We cannot really criticize them anymore, because it's just rooted in rock-solid data. And I fear that the more we rely on these data-driven arguments, which we can get from AI, the more we will risk sidelining this crucial element of decision-making, which is human intuition. And I think we risk that algorithms and AI systems will, or they are already becoming, the default arbiters of choice. So the more powerful their capabilities become, the higher will be the temptation to dismiss our intuition. Okay, I think based on current trends, we will end up making decisions purely on logic. And every action we take, every decision we make is optimized by data. I think this is a trend which I'm seeing right now. But I think that my contrarian truth, my contrarian take on this is that as AI systems get better at advanced reasoning, and they will process even more data, they will become even better at identifying patterns. I think that these pure logical and knowledge-based analysis and knowledge-based decision-making will become commoditized. So we are seeing this right now with important companies like, for example, Palantir. They are making data which nobody can understand right now, useful so you can make better informed decisions. And I think this will reach over the next couple of years a point where these kind of decisions, which are in the top 0.01% of decisions. I mean, you will have so good, logical, solid arguments based on proven data that you can act on. And I think this will result in a situation where humans have a tendency to trust them even more. And through this process, we will lose our inner guide, our intuition. We will trust less our intuition because because we cannot really question this rock solid data, if you understand what I mean. And we are already in a world where decisions are made for us by algorithms and by AI systems. So not only do they decide which video we should watch next on YouTube, they also provide decision makers today with data and insights, whether it's in finance and trading, quantitative trading and marketing, in hiring or in medicine. And I mean, why not? AI systems process data faster, more accurately. They have fewer biases than any human being ever could. And they can recognize patterns that would take humans really years to discern. And advanced algorithms also spit out logical predictions based on mathematical conclusions. So for tasks like optimizing logistics, predicting customer behavior, analyzing stock market trends, it is a no-brainer because AI wins. And it seems logical to assume that pure data and computation will lead to the best decisions. But I think, and this is my argument, this is flawed because there is something missing in this equation. Again, decisions are not always about logic. And I believe that the most important decisions in life and in business and in policy are anything but logical. So they are often guided by subtle and almost imperceptible signals which we cannot fully explain, but we can feel them. This is our intuition. So it's a gut feeling we have when something just feels right or something just feels wrong. And while it is really tempting to dismiss these feelings as, irrational or just some kind of feelings, maybe from your own experience, you will attest that they often turn out to be right. So the argument optimizing decisions and based on more and more data, more and more logical reasoning is flawed. And what I fear is that the more we lean on AI systems to guide our choices, the more we really risk sidelining this most powerful tool we humans possess, which is intuition. And if we think about scientific discoveries, for example, they are not made as a result of logical reasoning. They are really regularly the result of some kind of aha moment, where insight and knowledge seem to come from nowhere. Or you can think about the countless stories of entrepreneurs who made really bold decisions based on nothing but intangible sense of, certainty. For example, Steve Jobs went against market research and expert advice when he decided to launch the iPhone. And Elon Musk bet his entire fortune on SpaceX when logic and experts screamed that the odds were against him. And there are also investors who pull out of a seemingly very attractive opportunity just moments before it tanks. And all of this is driven by nothing more than a gut feeling. It goes beyond business or beyond, science. It's also good music just comes to the musician, and it's not created by technical skill. It is not, you can have the best skills in playing the piano or the guitar, and you can write the musical notes and better than anyone else in the world. But this doesn't make you a musician, an artist. The art comes to the musician. It's creative. And through intuition, we can really feel the subtle energetic currents of events before they manifest. So another example is a mother who knows something is wrong with her child before receiving the call from school, or a traveler who avoids a particular flight only to find out later it crashed. There are numerous examples of these which are quite fascinating. You can just look them up on YouTube, for example, and it's just mind struck. Intuition exists. And these aren't coincidences or anomalies. They are really examples of intuition at work. In these moments, we are not responding to what is, but we are aligning ourselves with what could be. We sense reality before it unfolds. And this intuitive intelligence is more than what we call gut feeling. It's not just a feeling and a gut. This intuitive intelligence is more. It's an ability to really sense what isn't in the data, to feel reality before it is fully formed. So these are, of course, you might think of spiritual teachings, but it's also in quantum physics. And whether you believe in it or not, you might know from your own experience that intuition exists. And I think that with our intuition, we can tap into a deeper field of information that transcends our conscious mind. Our material world we can see around us, the logic, the data we see. And our rational mind isn't very good at listening to our intuition. It is very busy making sense of everything we see around in a physical world. It is busy with the endless internal monologue we have, with an anxiety we have. And our mind is also constantly generating new thoughts. And I think the more data we have access to, think of infinite information feeds from social media, on YouTube, in the news. And now also with generative AI, you have endless possibilities to create new information, new data. The more difficult it becomes to really access our intuitive intelligence. And I fear that the more ubiquitous AI systems and the more convincing their logic-based arguments become, the more we will trust and rely on them blindly. When an algorithm presents a data-backed recommendation, it is really, really hard to contradict it because it's backed by rock-solid data. The numbers add up, the patterns are clear, and it feels almost reckless to go and decide against the machine. And I think this is exactly the risk. The stronger the logical basis for decision making becomes, the harder it will be to just following our gut. What will be the result? I think the result will be we end up in the near-term future in a world where every decision is optimized for efficiency and logic. And this comes at the cost of creativity, of foresight, and frankly, our human element. So what we risk is entering a near-term future where we become slaves to the data, losing over time our ability to make decisions that transcend the immediate facts in front of us and instead tap into a deeper, more holistic understanding of reality. And I think this is particularly crucial and fields that require the most crucial and important decisions. So intuitive intelligence is even of higher importance than pure data-driven logic in business strategy, creative innovation, and also geopolitical decisions. I think their intuition plays really a unique and uttermost important role. It tells us when an idea feels right, even if the numbers aren't there to back it up yet. And it also, it also leads us to, intuitive intelligence also leads us to abandon logical choice because something just feels off. And if we lose this ability, we will end up making purely logical and data-driven decisions. But I don't think that the best decisions are made purely on logical data. They are made by integrating the analytical with the intuitive. So AI will continue to become an ever more invaluable tool. But it's just that, it's a tool. It processes the world as it is, based on our material world, based on observable facts and historical data. But intuition allows us to perceive the world as it could be. It taps into potential futures, subtle energetic shifts, and possibilities that aren't visible in the data yet. So data can get us to the next step, but intuition lets us leap to entirely new paths. And as AI carves out logic's territory, intuition becomes even more vital. And I don't say that we should abandon data or AI systems. Far from it. Intuitive decision makers aren't anti-data. They use and leverage this data and logic without being trapped by it. They use it as a foundation. And then they use their intuition to connect the dots and sense realities which the machines cannot compute. They use data as a guide, but they trust their intuition to make the final decisions. Their intuition will navigate the uncertainties and unknowns that lie beyond the reach of logic and data. So the best leaders will be those who can access and trust their intuition, even though logic is against it. Those who then can access and act upon their intuitive intelligence will find themselves making the right decision when it matters the most, even and particularly when logic disagrees. What does it mean? It means preventing a nuclear conflict by sensing hidden motives when every visible sign points towards war. It means sparking a scientific breakthrough that defies conventional knowledge. It means designing a world-changing technology that others dismiss as impossible, or uniting adversaries to forge an unexpected, lasting peace against all rational odds. So, back to the title, The Future Belongs to the Intuitive. And now we are off script. I believe that the future belongs to the intuitive. So leaders, entrepreneurs, individuals, organizations who put and prioritize human intelligence, human intuition, human creativity above AI will have the biggest differentiator in personally, but also in the organizations themselves, as a leader of an organization, but also if this is instilled in the organization, this will be the big differentiator in the future. Logic-based arguments, data-driven decisions will be commoditized. You can buy them in the future for a subscription. Over the next 5 to 10 years, all Western companies will buy Palantir software and will have access to the same top-notch intelligence to make data and logic-based decisions based on all the data they have. So decisions will be commoditized. But what cannot be commoditized is human intuition, human intelligence, creativity, human intellect, human curiosity. And I think these are the values, particularly intuition. If we can harness them as leaders, as entrepreneurs, as innovators, we will lead the pack. I truly believe that human intuition will be the differentiator between companies who are average, because intelligent and decision-making based on data and logic will be commoditized. It will become the norm in every organization. But those who can instill and listen to their own intuition as a sales leader, as entrepreneurs, again, as artists, they will have a unique advantage, because the majority of humanity will lose this ability over the next decade. So I think the most important thing any of us can do right now, whether you're a leader or not, whether you're a decision maker today or not, It is to work on listening to your intuition. If you cannot hear it right now, it is probably because you have your phone and you have a feed full of information constantly going into your head, and this is distracting you. You have no quiet time for yourself. So meditation, of course, is the very first step. Just sit in quiet time, and this is something I refound for myself. So I meditated a lot, but I had honestly a break since I had my son 1.5 years ago, and I meditated much less, but I'm not back onto it. Sitting in stillness, meditation, even if it's just for 10 minutes, 30 minutes a day, just sit in stillness, no thoughts. Try to achieve complete stillness. For myself, I had a goal of not using the smartphone unconsciously anymore. So oftentimes you just grab your phone to scroll through your feed because this seems like a productive use of time to check emails, to check up on news. So I decided to only turn on the phone when I need it for business, when I consciously want to do something, book a hotel, book a flight, then I will turn on the phone and connect with the internet, with the world. But other than that, I have a stupid phone now, and only my family and a few contacts have my number, the most important contacts. And they can call me, leave a message on the mailbox, I will call them back, and that's it. Why I decided to do this is because even throughout the day, if you just think consciously, or if you look at your screen time, unless you use it very consciously for business purpose, focused for business purposes, you can check how much screen time you have right now. And this will add up for most people, I bet, in the hours. So 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours per day, you are getting bombarded with all of this information, and your logical mind tries to make sense of all of this, but it cannot catch up. And if you have these 3-4 hours of time quiet for yourself, for your work, for the work you do, without being bombarded and interrupted by all of this information, you have much more stillness and quiet time in your life. And this will harness your intuition skills. So this is just one way to get started, I think. And this is how I am starting. I'm taking this serious because over this weekend I really realized this will be the big differentiator in the future. It will not be whether you're an AI expert. It will not be the greatest AI tools you will use. They will all be commoditized. It's already ChatGPT is $20 per month. That's it. It is already a commodity, so to say. And we will see much more advanced software. Maybe it will be introduced by OpenAI themselves, but currently I see Palantir at the forefront for business executives. They will, over the next 5-10 years, they will go into every Western organization because they cannot work competitively without the software anymore, without Palantir. And again, this will be a commodity. As soon as it's available and as soon as it's used by every organization, it's a commodity. So it is, for all organizations, it's a requirement to have access to the latest intelligence, to the best arguments, to the best data analysis and AI-based recommendations, what to take action on. But what will not be commoditized is the leader who is looking at the data from Palantir, who is looking at the AI, if you use ChatGPT at the AI, what the AI puts out, and can intuitively decide whether this is good, this is bad. A policymaker who can intuitively prevent a nuclear war because he senses something and just picks up the phone and calls a specific president in this world to arrange a peace agreement, for example. This will be the differentiator. It will not be the best AI. It will not be the best data-driven decision. It will not be logic. We have this already and it will become a commodity. What will not become a commodity is intuition. So focus on intuition, focus on meditation. Try to ask yourself and try this more often. Is this a good feeling? Is this a bad feeling I have when making a decision? And you will train it by doing so. So I hope this is useful. See you next time.